Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vardhan, and on behalf of Edureka, I welcome you all to this webinar on continuous testing in DevOps. So I'm aware that every one of you are already aware of what DevOps is. I'm not going to beat around the bush, and I'm going to straight away get to our main topic, that is continuous testing, right? I'm going to talk about what exactly is continuous testing. Okay, so that'll be the first topic, and then I'll get to another topic, that is what are the various testing types in DevOps. And then the third topic I will talk about are the various tools which we use for continuous testing. Okay, and then finally, I will be using these four tools and showing you how to integrate them together to actually achieve continuous testing. Okay, guys, so do you all have any doubts on this agenda slide? If you have any queries, please put them, but I'm going to anyways move forward. Okay, so this is our first topic, that is continuous testing in DevOps. Okay, now a lot of people have this basic confusion, that is, what is the difference between continuous testing and automation testing, right? Let's start with automation testing. So automation testing is basically automating the execution of test cases, right? So you have a lot of test cases, and basically automating the execution of these test cases is what is called as automation testing. And continuous testing is basically the continuous automation of these tasks or of these test cases. So you have a lot of test cases. Not only are they being automated continuously, but even this automation is scheduled or is actually continuously automated, right? And constantly there will be tools which will be monitoring the source code, and whenever any problem comes up, that will be thrown to the developer as a bug. So guys, any doubt here between the two? Pretty simple, right? And if you guys have any doubts, please ask me. I'll clear that out again. Okay, so seems like all are clear. And going ahead, as you people know, this is the DevOps lifecycle, and continuous testing falls under the build, test, and the release phases of our lifecycle. Okay, these are the three different stages where this continuous testing revolves around. Okay, now let me go to the next slide. Okay, so now that you know the different stages, now let's see what are the different tools which are used. Now the different tools which are used over these different stages are nothing but Maven, Selenium, TestNG, and Jenkins. Okay, now before I explain this slide and I tell you what each of these tools do, let me go to another topic, which is nothing but different testing types. Okay, I'll finish this topic and then I'll get back to those different tools. So first of all, be it DevOps or be it Agile or Scrum, the different testing types are going to be the same. Okay, but in DevOps, these are just some of the few common testing types. Of course, there are a lot of other testing types, but these are the most common and these are what is mostly used in DevOps. So starting off with functional testing. So functional testing is basically to ensure that your application's entire functionality is delivered as per the requirement given by the customer or the client, right? The entire feature set is tested over here. And the next topic is unit testing. Unit testing is basically breaking your entire code into smaller units or components and then testing them separately. Individually, you test each and every single components or units, and that's why it's called unit testing. Okay. The third is load testing. Load testing is basically done to figure out how much load your system can take with optimal performance. Okay, so your code or whatever, wherever it's being run on, what is the maximum load it can take while performing optimal performance, right? Without becoming slow or becoming unresponsive, if your website can not be able to take any more load. So those are the different things you should think about. And stress testing is another very important testing type. And the difference between stress testing and load testing is very subtle but important. And the difference between the two is that stress testing is basically done to figure out what exactly is the threshold. And it's basically to ensure that, okay, beyond this, you cannot or your system cannot take this load. So you'll have to come up with alternate measures, right? So that is what is stress testing. And then you have integration testing. Now, integration testing is basically to get these smaller units or components integrated with each other and then checking how is the output of the product or the software application. Together, they are integrated and then checked. So it's usually done with unit testing. And then finally, you have regression testing. Now, regression testing is basically to ensure that your application is running perfectly and there is no bug in your code, even when there's a small feature set that has been added. So even if you've added a few features and a few lines of code, and you're testing the entire application to make sure that this is not affecting anything else. Okay, so these are the different testing types and the most common ones which are used in DevOps. So moving ahead, let me go back to that slide which I promised you I would explain. Okay, so these are the four most commonly used tools. There are a few more tools in the market, but however, these are the most popular and they are the most useful. Starting with Maven, right? So Maven is used for building your project. Selenium is used for actually testing your web page or your web application. TestNG helps Selenium in a lot of ways, and especially for report management and test case management by creating test annotations. Okay, and Jenkins is actually the one that's holding the entire DevOps structure, wherein what output comes from using of these tools, that an action could be taken over on that. So Jenkins can choose whether to deploy the application or the code to production or to staging server or wherever needed. Okay, if the test case fails, then it might not even deploy it. So things like that is what Jenkins can do. So let me go into detail and talk about each of these tools. First, let's start off with Maven. Okay, so Maven is a brilliant tool to handle your entire project structure. So you will have a Maven XML file in which you can specify what are the different Java classes which you want to execute and in which package or directory they are stored. You can mention those things in that XML file along with what dependencies are needed for executing that code. Let's take my own example here. My code is going to be Selenium code with TestNG. Then I can specify in my pom.xml file of Maven that I want these dependencies downloaded and installed. Okay, and then from the repository automatically it'll get downloaded and installed. That's it. So you don't have any worry, and that way you have a lot of flexibility because you'll have a lot of jar files for Selenium. You'll have a lot of jar files for TestNG, and you don't have to manually download any of them. You can just specify what you want to download in the dependencies part in your Maven pom.xml file, and Jenkins will basically execute this pom.xml file, right? So that's what Maven does. Okay, now let me go to the next slide and talk about Selenium in more detail. I'm pretty sure you all know this, but just FYI that Selenium WebDriver is the most important tool in testing basically because this does the actual web testing, right? It goes to web pages and it looks for certain web elements and checks if they are operating and functioning the right way. So that's what Selenium does, but it has a few drawbacks. So even though it can do the most important aspect, there are few shortcomings of it, and they are test case management and report generation. Okay, now to overcome these two problems, we are using TestNG along with Selenium. So in the industry, you will always find Selenium being used with either JUnit or YUnit or TestNG or something else, right? Because alone Selenium is not that powerful. So even though it is the Hulk, it needs other tools, and that's what TestNG does. So let's go ahead and now see what exactly is TestNG, what kind of limitations it overcomes. TestNG overcomes Selenium's test case management limitation by involving something called as test annotations. So with test annotations, your entire code can be broken down into smaller pieces of code, each being annotated with a test case. So that way you will be executing smaller test cases and you will get to know which test case has a bug. So you'll accurately know, okay, this is the small part or the small functionality where there is a bug and you can fix it. And you can keep unit testing and regression testing after that. And besides this, TestNG also lets you generate good reports. So that's the thing with TestNG and why it's used with Selenium. Okay. Now going forward, we have the final tool, which is nothing but Jenkins. So in your entire DevOps lifecycle, the tool or the part which holds the entire structure is the continuous integration tool, or CI tool as we call it often. So the CI tool which we are using is Jenkins. Okay, and Jenkins is easily the best tool in the market. You have a couple of others. You have Hudson, you have Bamboo, and you have a few more. but however, nothing comes as close to Jenkins. And Jenkins is also my personal favorite DevOps tool. But the drawback with Jenkins is that there's not enough documentation. There are probably so many plugins, right? Plugins for almost everything. But the problem is documentation. It's not well done. But otherwise, Jenkins is the best tool, and that's why it's my favorite. Okay, so I think I've spoken enough. Let's get to the next topic, and let's get started with our demonstration. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these four tools to achieve continuous testing. And what I will be doing is I will be using Maven to create one XML file, and in that XML file I will invoke my dependencies. I will invoke Selenium, and I will invoke TestNG, and I will get them to test a web page for me. Okay, and when that is a pass or a fail, Jenkins will take care and deploy it wherever it wants to. Okay, so about the post build steps I'm not going to talk about in this session. I'm going to only talk about what Jenkins does when a test case passes or fails. When it passes, it can do something else, or when it fails, it can report the news back to the developer or anyone else. Okay, so that's going to be my demonstration. And for that, let me get started. And first of all, I want to open my Eclipse IDE. Okay, so guys, this is Eclipse. So this is where I script my code. I can write my Selenium code. I can write it with TestNG, so that I can also get executed through Maven. Okay, and once I can execute it through Maven, then I know that my code is going to run. And when I do it here, it's basically automation testing. And when I do it with Jenkins, it becomes continuous testing. Okay, so now that you people know that these four tools and what role they play, so if you're new and you don't have any of these softwares, then you can download them from the internet straight away, because all are open source and free. So you can just go to your browser and you can download all of these. So you can just say download Maven. Okay, and when you say that, the first thing that comes up, maven.apache.org. So you can just go in here and download the Maven package that you want. Okay, so my internet seems to be a little slow today, so yeah, so this is the site. And if you want to download the Apache Maven for Windows, then you can download it from here. Okay, the zip file. If you're on Linux or Unix, then you can probably download the tar file. Okay, so that is how you easily download Maven. The next dependency which you have to download is Selenium, right? So let's say Selenium download. When you type it, again, the first link, seleniumhq.org. Just go in here and you'll get the link to download Selenium. The latest version is 3.8.1, but if possible, try using Selenium 3.3.3, right? Because that's the latest stable version, and that's what even I'm using personally. And once you have downloaded Selenium, the next tool that you have to use is TestNG, right? So you don't need to download it through the internet like this from your browser. You can just specify the different dependencies and the libraries where it's present in Selenium itself, and through that you will get it downloaded. Okay, no worries. So tool wise, the next tool we have to download is Jenkins. So again, let's just say download Jenkins. Okay, and when you hit enter, the first link again, download Jenkins. So from here you can download Jenkins also. Once you've downloaded all these things, you have to ensure that you set your Java path. Okay, but before that, if you don't have Java on your system, so just type in download Java, and you can download it easily. Okay, so just go to Oracle's official website, Java SE runtime environment, and from here you can download the latest Java version. Okay, so the version is 9.0.4. However, I've used Java 8, so it's fine if you're using 1.9 or 1.8. And once you've done with downloading Java, you have a simple task of setting the class path and the environment variables. Okay, you have to do this for Maven, you have to do it for Java itself, and you have to also do it for Jenkins. Okay, so how do we do it? It's again simple. Just go to my computer, right click, properties, you get advanced system settings, right? So click on this, and from here go to environment variables. Okay, and over here you have to specify the path for Java home and Maven home. So this is the path where my Java is present. Okay, and similarly, if you download Maven, then you have to specify the path of Maven, right? The root directory of Maven. So that's what I've specified here. And when you've done that, you have to come down here to system variables and in system variables you will find path. So over here you have to again set that same path /bin. Okay, as you can see here, /bin folder inside the Apache Maven root directory is where you have to specify over here, and you have to do the same for Java also. So my Java path is set over here, correct? So these are the things which you have to do to ensure they are working. But however, if you've done it, well and good. So I don't want to waste any time. Let me continue with my session and go back to Eclipse. Okay, so from Eclipse, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is create a Maven project, because my Java code or my Selenium code will be inside that project, right? So the structure, if we want to maintain, then we have to first go to file. So go to project under new project, and over here from the options, choose Maven project. Okay, under the Maven drop down, click on next. And here, let's just say I want to create a simple project. I'm checking on that box, and next. So here we got to enter two details. One is group ID and the other is artifact ID. So let's just say selenium.maven.testng. Okay, and again, artifact ID we can give something similar. So let's say maven.selenium.testng.jenkins. Okay, so let this be our artifact ID. And what these two are, I will explain later. And then let's give a name to this, and let's say my project name is Edureka demo, and I'm going to say finish. And as you can see over here, there's a new project directory that's created, right? Maven.selenium.testng.jenkins. So if I click on this drop down, you can see that I already have a number of items already over here. One of them is the pom.xml file. Okay, so this XML file is the file I was talking about, and we have few other packages over here. We have src main Java, we have src main resources, we have src test Java, and src test resources. So these are project directories again, and over here I can create multiple packages and multiple Java classes inside those packages. Okay, I can do that. So first of all, let's write our Selenium code, okay, and figure out what we want to actually test. So let me write a small code for that purpose. So for that, let's just go to src main Java, and I'm going to click on new and say class to create a new class. I'm going to give the name, okay, let's say Edureka demo. Okay, and I'm going to say finish. So first of all, let's get started with writing our Selenium code and figure out what we want to actually test. And to do that, we have to go to src test Java folder, and over here, let's create a new Java program. Okay, I'm going to say new, I'm going to say class. Let me give the name Edureka demo, and then let's say finish. Okay, so you have a simple program that's created. Now what we have to do here is, so here let me write a method. Let's say public void, and let me give the name test. Okay, so this is going to have the @ annotation. Okay, and when I give the @ test annotation, I'm basically making this a TestNG test. Okay, by saying add TestNG library, I make it a TestNG test. Okay, I'm going to import TestNG. Okay, perfect. So over here in my public void test, let's again keep it simple. Let's say system.out.println, and here let's say hi, this is Vardhan from Edureka. And after this, let me go to some web browser and perform some tests. Now if I want to perform some operation, then I have to first of all set my browser driver, correct? So let me do that. Let me say system.setProperty. Yes, it's right here, system.setProperty, and I'm going to say what is it, which is the browser driver I'm going to use. So it's going to be webdriver.chrome.driver, correct? So this we need to of course give it inside double quotes. And where is my Chrome driver present? The path I have to specify. So my Chrome driver is present in my downloads folder. Okay, so I'm going to say, so this is my documents. I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here. Okay. Just that you have to note to give 2 slashes everywhere. So users downloads and Chrome driver.exe, because this is the name of my browser driver. Okay, now after this, the next thing that we have to do is I have to invoke an object for my browser driver, right? So let's say web driver is equal to new Chrome driver. All right. Okay, so at this point of time, it's throwing an error because the Selenium dependencies and my TestNG dependencies are not already present inside this project. Correct. So this will be fixed when I write the pom.xml file. Okay, so over here I'll specify the dependencies, but till then, remember that we can go forward and write our entire code. So here I have to say which website I want to test, right? So let me go over here and show you which website on which I want to do the testing. So there's this page called newtours.demoauth.com. Okay, so this is a good page to test. So I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to paste it here inside driver.get. Okay, I'm going to paste this, and here let's say I want to verify the page title. So what can I do? I have the assert function for that, right? So I can use assert equals, okay, but org.testng.assert, and here I have to say what is the expected title, correct? So how will I get the page title from here? I can add another line there saying driver.get title. Okay, so this gets the page title of the current web page which the browser driver is on, but this has to be stored in a variable, right? So let's say string title is equal to driver.get title. So this variable will get this value stored, and over here in actual, let's feed this title, this variable. Okay, so this variable should have this value exactly over here. And what is the actual page title? It's welcome colon Mercury Tours, right? So that's what I have to type in here inside double quotes. So Mercury Tours, okay. And once I've added the Selenium and the TestNG dependencies, then I would not have this problem anymore. Okay, so all these packages will get downloaded. So without wasting much time, let me go back to the pom.xml file, and over here, let me say what is it that I want to actually test. But before I say what I want to test, I have to first of all set my Maven plugins, right? So I have to add those details inside this XML file. So I have a notepad where I've stored all those dependencies and all these plugins details, okay, which is in this format. So the plugins which I would basically need is the Maven compiler plugin and the Maven Surefire plugin. Okay, so since these are two different plugins, we have enclosed them in separate plugin tags, and these two plugin tags are inside another tag which is plugins, correct? And this plugins tag is again inside this build tag. So that is ending here. And one thing we have to remember is inside the configuration tab, I have said there is suit XML file. So this suit XML file specified in configuration is nothing but the actual testng.xml file which you are trying to execute. Okay, so let me not complicate this further, and simply just copy this and paste it in my pom.xml file. Okay, this is my pom.xml file, and here I'm gonna paste this build part. Okay, whatever is there inside my build tag. Now, beside this, like I told you earlier, we need the dependencies, right? So the two dependencies for Selenium and TestNG need to be copied, and this is the code. So for TestNG, this is the dependency that you specify in Maven, and for Selenium, this is the dependency that we specify. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and again I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, but one thing you have to remember is, since these are two separate dependency tags, I have to specify them inside a tag called dependencies. Okay, so let me close this dependency tag over here. Brilliant. Now there's just one thing that is left. I have to create a properties tag and specify the path of my TestNG XML file. Okay, so this is the XML file. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so what you see here, right? TestNG.xml file. So the XML file which I create has to be placed in this place. So when I execute this pom.xml file, then I will be executing this TestNG XML file, which has been specified inside this plugin over here. Inside the Shortfire plugin, under configurations, I've specified it has to be executed. So that's how this XML file would be executed along with all these dependencies downloaded by Maven. Okay, so you don't have to download any of these on your own. Maven will do that for you with the help of Eclipse and internet connection. Okay, now to actually build and download these dependencies, all you have to do is Control S, which would save it. So when you press Control and S, then that would be built over here and the dependencies would be downloaded for you. Okay, so now that the dependencies are downloaded, what I can do is I can straight away go to my class file over here and update all these. So now if you see, my WebDriver package is available, right? Since I downloaded the Selenium dependencies through Maven. Because of that, I can do it now. I'm going to import this WebDriver package and I'm going to import the Chrome driver package also. And yes, I think now we're all good, right? So now there are no errors. Now, if I straight away execute this test, then let's see if this test case passes or fails. Okay, it has to open up a new Chrome browser and then go to this site and then verify the title and give us a result. So this is the new Chrome browser. I'm on to demo tours. Okay, so by now the title would have been fetched. And what is the result of my test case? It's passed. Okay, my test case has been passed. And you can see that even my system.out.println message has been displayed. Hi, this is Vardhan from Edureka. Okay, perfect. Now, I've always been telling you that in your pom.xml file, we specify the TestNG XML file which has to be executed, correct? So to convert this Java class into a TestNG.xml file, you simply go here, click on this Java file and say TestNG. So over here, you can say convert to TestNG. So when you do that, it automatically converts to a testng.xml file. Okay, that's the default name. Let it be. Click on next and click on finish. Okay, so now you can see there's a new file here created called the testng.xml file. So if you double click on this testng.xml file, it basically is executing this Java program, Edureka demo Java program inside this Maven Selenium TestNG Jenkins folder, correct? If you open it, this is the package where it's present and this is the class. So that's what an XML file does. It simply and easily it says which class or which class to execute and in which package that class is present, correct? So that's why testng.xml is such a brilliant file. So now that my pom.xml file and my testng.xml files are ready, I can straight away execute them and check if my test is running or not running. Okay, now before I straight away go to my Jenkins and start showing you how to build them, let me open up and execute this Maven project and see if my pom.xml file is working. Okay, I've just built it here. So let me open up the terminal first, and over here I need to go to this project structure and execute this pom.xml file, right? So currently this pom.xml file, where is it present? Go to properties, it's present over here, correct? So let's first travel to this particular path. Okay, so here we have the pom.xml file, correct? So inside the Maven project, let's first run the command mvn clean. So this is just to make sure that any of your previous errors or bugs are just being cleared off. Okay, so mvn clean is good practice to run this command. So it says that the build is success, then so it successfully cleaned up the project. So now what we should do is we should run the command mvn install. Okay, so this will install whatever your pom.xml file says and whatever other things that are needed. So it's downloading the plugins, my compiler and the Shortfire plugin and all the others. Okay, perfect. Even my test is being executed now. So this is Mercury Tours. So what does it say? Okay, build is a success. So total tests that were run were 1 and there were 0 failures. Okay, perfect. Even my println command is executed. So now that my install worked, so let's just give the command mvn test. Okay, so by running the mvn test command, I am basically executing the test. Okay, I'm executing this program as a test. And this means that my Maven's pom.xml file is perfectly working fine for me. And the next thing that I have to do to conclude this demo is to execute this pom.xml file through Jenkins, right? So that's what I got to do. And to do that, let me first of all start off by going to the Jenkins dashboard. Okay, so Jenkins is hosted on port number 8080. So if you go here, you will find Jenkins. And to first of all execute the pom.xml file, we have to create a new job. Okay, so I can create a new job from over here, new item. But before that, for those of you who are using Jenkins for the first time, remember that you have to download the Maven plugin for Jenkins, and you can download that from Manage Jenkins. Okay, so if you come down, you have something called as global tool configuration, right? So go here and search for your Maven plugins. So you will have your Maven plugin here, and you will have to just specify the path where your Maven is present, your Maven home. Okay, you have to specify that over here. And once you're done with that, you have to just make sure that even your JDK is also mentioned. The Java home of your JDK, this is also mentioned. So when these two are mentioned, you can straight away start creating your job and start executing that job. So let's get to that then. Let's click on new item for creating a new Jenkins job. And this is going to be a Maven project, right? So this time I'll choose Maven project, and the name is going to be Maven Jenkins. Let's put Selenium and TestNG there in the mix. Okay, so that's going to be the name of my job. And let me click on OK. So over here we have the general tools, we have the description under that, so all these can be avoided. So let's first of all straight go to the build part. Okay, so under build we have to specify which is the pom.xml file that we have to execute. So this is where you specify the path. Okay, if you remember, my pom.xml file which I have to execute, it was present under this path, right? So let me just copy that path under this path. So I'm going to copy this completely. I'm going to say OK, go back to my Jenkins dashboard, and I'm going to feed it over here. Okay, and here in goals and options, you have to specify the commands which you want to execute. So I showed you through the command prompt that I executed two important commands, clean and install. So that is the same thing that I need to specify over here. So before I install it, I want to clean it. I want to clean it with whatever previous history of the project was there. I want to eliminate that, and I'm installing a new one. So the second command that it would do is install. Okay, so that's what goal and option does for you. You specify what commands to run. And once I'm done with this, I'm pretty good. Okay, I can let me just minimize this for a minute. I can just say apply, and I can save this and straight away execute this particular job, Maven Selenium TestNG Jenkins. Okay, so the option to do that is present right here, build now. So if you click on build now, the build will get scheduled, and let's see if the test case passes or fails. And we can also view what's happening by going to the console output. Okay, so this is the console output, and here, so this is the status. It's building the Edureka demo, the snapshot. So it's very similar to what you were seeing in the command prompt, right? So whatever gets displayed there, that since it's executed through Jenkins, it's displayed here on Jenkins. Okay, so even the system.println command is displayed, and now the Chrome browser driver should open up and go to new tools and perform the assertion. Okay, perfect, it's done. Tests run 1 and 0 failures. Okay, perfect. So let me just close these browser instances which were opened up by my tests. So as you can see, right now we have achieved automation testing. So to achieve continuous testing, which is all about scheduling builds or having them to run continuously, for achieving that, we have to configure a few more settings. Okay, so let's go to configure option for that. And inside the configure option, if you scroll down, you will find this option of build triggers, right? So under build triggers, you have further options like build periodically, and you have GitHub hook trigger, and then you have poll SEM. So you can use any of these to build triggers. So if I click on build periodically, I can specify in cron format at what time of the day, at what time of the week, on which month, and in which year I want to execute that test. So I can specify that. Also, if I want to run the test every half an hour or every 1 hour or twice every day, I can specify all those timings over here. Okay, so that is one way of achieving continuous testing. Okay, but besides this, there's one more interesting option which I was talking about. There is something called email notification. So if your test case passes, then there is no need to worry. Okay, but if your test case fails, then as developers, you might want to know immediately, right? So that time you can set the recipients, the email address of the people that should get this email that the test case has failed. So we can enter those email IDs over here with a comma. Okay, guys, so that's it from my end. That's how we use Maven, Selenium, TestNG, and Jenkins for achieving continuous testing. Okay, so these are the most popular tools, and that's how they are used. But of course, depending on company to company, the use cases will differ, and also the tools that they will use will differ along with how they are using the tools. So this is the most common way and the general way, or the general industry practice, if we can call it. So that's how that was. And I would like to thank you all guys for being in the webinar and being ever so patient till the very end. On that note, I'll conclude today's session and let's get in touch next time. But before that, if you guys have any doubts, please put them in the comment box because I will be available for a few more minutes after the session. Okay, seems like all the doubts are cleared. So guys, goodbye then. Happy learning from my end.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!